to another exciting episode of the Insurance Untangled Podcast. I am Ben Tuyene, one of the co-hosts of this podcast that is dedicated to helping practices that are tangled up with insurance. We talk about topics that help you take more control and create a bigger, better, brighter future for you, your patients, and of course your team members. Today, I have my two co-hosts. I got Naren, who's going to help me interview, and we're going to prod Jordan or poke him with some questions today.
Is that what we're going to do? Okay.
You're talking about pokey balls before we recorded this. So
yeah. Maybe that's why it was in my mind.
Pokeballs, yeah.
Or Pokeballs, depending on how you want to pronounce it.
Yes, depending on how American you are, yeah.
Yeah. Well, good to chat with you, gentlemen. So today we're going to talk about subscription revenue reinvestment strategy. So this is a fun topic, Jordan. For those of you that know Jordan, he is all about creating reoccurring revenue, a pipeline business, right?
Yeah, baby.
And that's one of the things I really love about Jordan is just his brain.
His nickname is Mr. Pipeline.
Mr. Pipeline. There you go. There you go. I often thought about like having like an underground pipeline to Jordan's house just to kind of, honor his business, his pipeline business, right? That he built.
He just keeps pumping money, pumping oil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could charge kids 25 cents just to go through it, right?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah. So without further ado, Jordan, we're gonna poke you with some of these questions here. So what is reoccurring revenue from a membership plan or from membership plans, I should say?
Yeah. So for those that may not know, because there's always a segment of those that maybe don't know what a membership plan is. So first of all, recurring revenue is the holy grail of business revenue. If you look at some of the most successful businesses in your local city or state that have the biggest buildings, most likely they have a recurring revenue model. Think your insurance companies. They have a recurring revenue model. Although we may not like insurance companies and what they do to their practice, they actually have a really good business model.
Oh, yeah.
If you're here in Utah, like myself and Ben, in Lehi, Utah, we have some of the biggest buildings here that are software companies that utilize recurring revenue. So recurring revenue is a subscription type revenue in dentistry through a membership plan where patients pay a monthly or yearly subscription revenue to be a part of your practice and to get savings and benefits when they join your practice. So recurring revenue is the best business model that you can implement in any type of business. So the reason why is so recurring revenue is predictable. It comes in every month when structured correctly, at the same time, the same day, and allows you to budget and plan for your business growth. And today I want to talk about what practice should be doing when they build up enough recurring revenue from their membership plan versus sitting on that revenue or worse, looking at the bank account at the end of the year and getting taxed on all of it. So we're going to be talking about reinvestment strategies today.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Jordan. Before we jump in, I have a crazy question. Can somebody define recurring versus reoccurring? What's the difference?
I don't know. It's the English language. Some people say reoccurring and people say recurring. So maybe
Actually, there is a difference. And
is there?
I just
have no idea.
I just Googled it, and Google is giving me a link to Grammarly. Something that is recurring happens over and over again, possibly at regular intervals. In contrast, something that is reoccurring is simply happening again, but not always repeatedly.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so we cannot say reoccurring.
So
recurring revenue.
Yeah, or subscription revenue.
One of those interesting things in the English language, like lie and lay, for instance. I remember when I learned that in college, and I'm
English language rules. Yeah,
I was like, just rip my brain out. I'm going to go back and doing Samoan, where Samoan makes a little bit more sense. It's a little simpler. But no, this makes sense.
So recurring,
repeat, right? Happens over and over and over and over again
at a certain interval. Like it's the exact same interval, whether it's weekly, monthly, or annually. Yeah, recurring.
And then reoccurring, it happens again, but not always at the same frequency.
Same time.
Sure.
May not even repeat like forever. It might happen again. Like it's like we see a bear, but doesn't mean every Friday at 4 p.m.
Right.
we can see a bear.
Sure, but every time you go to Yellowstone, you can most likely maybe see a bear.
Maybe see a bear.
Yeah.
So it's a reoccurring event, but it's not a recurring event.
Interesting.
So-
I didn't know the difference.
So the
It's
appropriate
just-
word for this is recurring, right?
Recurring.
Yes,
Recurring.
recurring.
Okay.
Recurring. Yeah. Anyways, I just was curious because I know we use it interchangeably.
I always use the word recurring. I never use reoccurring when I
Reoccurring,
talk
yeah.
about revenue. Yeah.
That's great. So
But I didn't know
correct.
that. I didn't know why. I think recurring just sounded better.
No, I think I'm the one that said reoccurring in the beginning. So
I think Ben, you may have said reoccurring, but then I think Jordan changed
he
it.
wrote
to
it, yeah, recurring, yeah. So
That's
you
funny.
corrected me. Well, I can claim English as my second language. That's my defense every time
That's
I make
your
a
defense,
mistake.
Dang, I can't do that. I wish I could.
Anyways, guys, let's get back in. So when a practice is growing, it's recurring revenue. Now, so that means, let's say first month they were making $5,000, and then they keep adding more membership plans. Now they're making $7,000 a month. Next month they're making $9,000. So let's say their recurring revenue is growing. How do you invest? How do you best use these newly created funds? Right? It's like money you didn't have before.
Yeah.
How do you use it in a smart way?
Well, yeah. The first problem is practices. Most of the practices that I speak with don't view it this way, which I think they should. It will help them and their patients to their advantage if they think about reinvesting the new funds that are created from the membership. And we'll talk about several different ways to do this, but most practices, I remember talking to a practice, I won't say his name to embarrass him. And at the end of the year, he would look into the bank account because he used a separate bank account to collect all of his subscription revenue from his membership plan. He would look into it and he'd have an extra, call it $200,000 from his membership plan for the year. And he would just get taxed on it. He wouldn't use it to reinvest back into his business or back into a couple of things that we're going to be talking about. So as you're creating this new revenue, and you may be getting this revenue from your existing uninsured that you haven't been getting before. So the smartest thing you can do is to reinvest into what we call membership marketing to get more of those same patients, right? That will subscribe to your dental practice. And as you continue compounding that recurring revenue stream, taking all or a certain percentage of that predictable recurring revenue and reinvesting it into marketing. Like that's into successful marketing. So using SEO, PPC, direct mail, and maybe small business marketing to attract small businesses to sign up for your membership plan, but using those newly created funds to attract more of those same patients. The longer you do that, and this is literally how our most successful practices are growing. They're just taking that recurring revenue that they're generating, reinvesting it into marketing channels, and finding those same type of patients that will subscribe to their office and building up a large membership base, right? So that's the first thing that I would be, if I were running a dental practice with a growing membership program, I would probably be taking 100% of those funds in the early days and just putting it back into acquiring more of those types of patients because they are more valuable for your practice, meaning they pay you a subscription, but then they spend 3 times more than a non-member. So, and they're loyal. They're loyal with their wallets as well when it comes to the persona of that patient. The second thing I would do is reinvest into like new technology. I always like the digital technology that's coming out, like the CEREC machines. They keep coming out with new machines. I know my dad at the dental lab just reinvested with his new revenue into large milling machines that Sirona makes, or Dent Supply Sirona now. But also investing into like education so you can offer new high value services like implants or all on fours and things like that. Like I know there's institutes all over the nation that teach general dentists on how to correctly do these clinical procedures to help patients and to generate more revenue for the practice, right? So reinvesting the revenue from your membership plan into flying out and going to those courses and learning those skill sets. So then you can go back to the marketing channel bucket and reinvest back into that bucket to get membership patients that need implants, membership patients that need all-in-4s, right? That's how I would be thinking about my reinvestment strategy if I had predictable recurring revenue, which I do, and we have reinvestment strategies with a certain percentage of our recurring revenue.
That's awesome.
I do have some follow-up questions, Jordan, on what you just said. So let's take, I see 3 buckets, right? 2 big buckets, but one is marketing, SEO, PPC to get new membership patients.
Yes.
Number 2 is, whether it's technology or education, right?
Yes.
Anything to up your game so you can provide high value services.
Exactly.
Drive the amount of revenue per hour that you make. So let's look at the first bucket. Do you have any guidelines on what, let's say I'm making 10 grand, what percentage of that you would put it back into marketing? Let's say I'm making 10 grand a month, and then also, would you have any metrics around, like, is it working for me? Because you could put it into marketing, but what if it doesn't work, right? So like any guidelines around that?
Yeah. So, well, number one is what's your desired outcome, right? As a practice owner that owns this membership plan, right? Do you want to be $1 million membership plan practice, or are you cool with just a few $100,000? So that would be my first question, to get really clear on your vision of the type of revenue and the amount of revenue you want to grow. So if you want to be $1 million practice, I'd be throwing 50% plus in the early days of the revenue that is generated to finding and attracting more membership patients, right? Because then you build a compounding growth recurring revenue model, meaning every month that you're successful with finding those types of patients, the recurring revenue just continues to compound, and month over month you're able to invest more into marketing. So it really depends on your desired outcome and the stage of practice ownership you're in. Are you getting ready to retire and you only got a few years left? I would be putting a lot of my reinvestment back into growing the membership plan, because it's going to be more valuable. It's going to be more valuable practice by the time you sell it for the next dentist that purchases your practice. It's a more valuable proposition when you sell your practice. So it really just depends on your stage. I'm more aggressive when it comes to growth strategies, though. So it really just depends on the desired outcome.
Makes sense. What you're saying is membership revenues is very profitable, right? It's like right after the beginning of the month, beginning of the year, you get it. So
yeah.
So not only is it good for you, but it's also good for the acquirer. So if your goal is to increase the value of the practice, you would err on the side of investing more into growing the membership plan.
If you have limited time and you're trying to exit your practice, I would be spending the majority of the recurring revenue you're getting from your membership plan to growing that faster. So by the time you sell, it's a really attractive practice to the next buyer.
Makes sense.
Which you can command a higher premium for an attractive practice versus letting your practice die. That happens a lot where dentists, as they get older, you're getting tired, you're wanting to exit, you're not thinking about building value for the next. But if you do that, the value hits your bank account, right? When you sell the practice, versus the next dentist that purchases your practice is going to be probably hungry and hungry and more focused on growth. So if you provide that type of practice for them now, they're going to pay for a higher premium.
Yeah.
When it comes to like, hey, is this marketing working or not working? Like that's going to be a big question that you've got to be testing out. Our data says that the practices that are growing the most successful membership programs have a marketing partner that is helping them, whether it's in office or a third-party marketing agency like yourself, Naren. Our data says that our fastest growing practices have a marketing partner, and which is really interesting because we have one of our fastest growing practices is in Hawaii, and they are growing like 80 to 100 new membership patients per month. It's fascinating, and they have a marketing agency as their partner. So I think, when it comes to the marketing question, is my marketing going to be successful? Partnering with the right marketing partner or employee is definitely key.
Makes sense.
Jordan, what are ways to incentivize your team to continue growing the reoccurring revenue components of your practice through your membership plan?
Yeah, so this is a huge thing too when it comes to like reinvesting in. One of the reinvestment strategies that I recommend is reinvesting into an incentive program for your office team. Some of the most successful practices, in fact, the top 10 growing that I keep talking about, have some type of mechanism within their practice that rewards their team members for signing up membership patients and selling the membership plan. So I always recommend having some type of reward system, right? So a good example is in you can actually design this in Boom Cloud, our technology. We have a section called rewards where you can set up a tracking system to track all your staff and who they sign up and how many patients they sign up per month. And you can give them a small bonus for every patient sign up. So the beautiful thing about that too is you can have the patient cover that bonus, meaning you can create a one-time enrollment fee when they sign up for the membership plan, call it $50, and you give $20, $25 to your staff member that has signed that patient up. So reinvesting back into your team and getting them excited to help you grow your membership program, right? There's no such thing as a membership program that just grows them itself, right? You need to have your team, you need to have marketing, and you need to train your team to be excited and motivated to get the word out and talk to every single patient that comes through your door. So once again, most successful practices have a reward system to reward their team for signing up the most valuable patient in the practice, a patient that's committing to pay a subscription and that the data says spends 3 times more. So yeah, incentivize those types of patients with your team. That's a great reinvestment strategy of the recurring. It's not even reinvesting your recurring revenue. It can be, but it's reinvesting the enrollment one-time setup fee that generates the recurring revenue, which is a beautiful mechanism to acquire more membership patients.
That's awesome, Jordan. Thank you for that.
Yeah. So just to kind of sum up, so definitely you talked a lot about marketing. You talked about your team and incentivizing them. Mm-hmm. The education thing, that's not necessarily going to drive more membership plans, but that's really about investing in technology. That's about how do you harvest the members you have, right? So let's say you have 1,000 members and now you can offer certain things you couldn't offer to those 1,000
exactly.
members. Okay.
It's I call it a revenue expansion play, right? If you're able to offer higher value services, if you're not doing like all on fours or there's all sorts of things that a general dentist may not be doing that they can be doing. I'm not the expert in that, but I would call that a revenue expansion strategy after and during your growing a membership program.
And what percentage? I know, like sometimes I remember talking to somebody about he flies a plane, and I think he owns a plane, and I think every so many years he has to spend so much money to service it, but he doesn't have a big check to write, so he puts away a certain percentage of his cost into this bucket that then he uses every 3 years or 4 years for that major. Sure. And so, what percentage of that, let's say recurring revenue, that you think should go into this bucket of expansion, like whether it's tech or education?
Yeah, I mean that's. I can tell you how I would do it personally as a business owner, but it's really going to be up to the practice and the decision maker of the budget. I would break it down to a percentage-based budget. I would say maybe 30% goes to marketing, right, or more, depending on, once again, your desired outcome and growth goals. And maybe just break it up percentage-wise, right? So 30% goes to marketing, 30 or 40% goes to education, right? And then the rest goes home to the practice owner.
Got it.
Right. You could break it up that way. Now, I mean, I'm just kind of talking broadly. But if I were starting a membership program today with a practice, I would reinvest 100% of that revenue until it hits call it $500,000 a year in membership revenue. That's kind of how I would focus on it, because these patients are such high value patients that as you grow a membership program, and I would also look at my overhead. For stage one, let's get the recurring revenue to cover all overhead. So what is that? And I would look at that and be like, okay, so let's as we're building this membership program, let's throw 100% of the recurring revenue into growing it and get to phase one of overhead killer, right? Meaning you can stop practicing dentistry today and your membership program will cover all your overhead, all your costs of running the practice. That's kind of how I would do phase one. Then phase two would be like going for the $1 million membership plan route, which is highly profitable.
I love that phase approach. So first is set it up the overhead, and that could be the goal. And until you get that, keep investing. And then once you get there, then hey, either stop there or go.
You just have man. If you have if you have a practice that with a membership program that could cover your overhead and beyond, you are living dentistry. You are living dentistry differently than most dentists out there. You are literally waking up, sleeping well, and you have a better business model than most dental practices out there. So yeah, it's critical to get to the overhead killer phase, let's call it that, and then the profitable phase afterwards, as you continue growing and reinvesting.
Thank you so much, Jordan. Any resources, if somebody's interested in, growing the successful membership plan? I know this itself is a resource. I'm sure this is going to be a viral episode that a lot of people are going to share, but any additional resources, Jordan?
Yeah. So go to boomcloudapps.com. We have several resources there, some webinars and ebooks. We have the $1 Million Membership Plan ebook that talks more in detail on how practices are growing their membership program to get to the $1 million recurring revenue goal. So that book is awesome. It teaches a lot of practices there on marketing strategies and what the successful practices are doing to grow these membership programs successfully. So boomcloudapps.com. Go there, click the free books section, and you'll find all the resources you need.
Yeah, I think that $1 Million Membership Plan book would be awesome because it is a blueprint based on actual examples, actual cases of all of Jordan's clients. So, hey, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can just follow in the footsteps of others. So check that out. Go to the show notes, insuranceuntangled.com. Again, you can listen to this. You can, read transcripts. You can go back and listen to past episodes. If you love this episode, of course, share it on social media. Write a review for us on Google Play or Apple, or any of your favorite podcast platforms. We love what we do here, Jordan, Ben, and I. And we appreciate all of you. We can't do what we do without you. We have a big event coming up. And, we'll be announcing that shortly on our platform. It's going to be in early December and hope to see you there. It's going to be, I think, the first Friday of December at 12 Eastern time. It's the Insurance Untangled Live. It's a 3-hour event with tons of CE. You'll get 3 hours of CE. You're going to have 2 panels, a business panel, an insurance panel, and then you're going to have some speakers. So you're going to learn a ton. So hope to see you there. Get that 3 hours of CE. I know a lot of you want CE this time of year, so hopefully it's a great way for you to, accomplish both CE plus some good information to, make 2024 an awesome year for you guys. Thank you, everyone. Until we meet again, have a wonderful rest of the week.